Welcome to my channel, Analysis Hole, the black hole of exploring knowledge. Please like and subscribe for further notifications. तो बच्चों, ये हैं आपके रेटोरिक एंड प्रोसिडी उस चैप्टर से कुछ क्वेश्चंस और उनके आंसर्स। तो आपको सिर्फ इनके आंसर्स याद रखने हैं, सिर्फ आपको वहाँ पर राइट आंसर टिक मार्क करना है अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस में से। So question number 1 is, what is rhetoric? Rhetoric is the art of persuasive communication through the use of language and argumentation. Question 2, who is often considered the father of rhetoric in ancient Greece? तो किसने स्टार्ट किया था ये rhetoric? Aristotle is often considered the father of rhetoric in ancient Greece. What are the three modes of persuasion in classical rhetoric? The three modes of persuasion are ethos, pathos and logos. तो ethos credibility, pathos emotions and logos logic, ये तीन मोड्स होते हैं जो persuasion, three modes of persuasion होते हैं rhetoric में. What is rhetorical device used to emphasize contrasting ideas through parallel structure? तो कौन सा rhetoric device है? Antithesis is a rhetorical device used to emphasize contrasting ideas. What is an ad hominem argument? An ad hominem argument attacks the character or personal traits of an opponent rather than addressing the argument itself. What is the purpose of rhetoric questions in a speech or text? Rhetoric questions are used to provoke thought and make a point rather than to elicit a direct answer. What is the difference between deductive and inductive reasoning? Deductive reasoning starts with a general premise and reaches a specific conclusion, while inductive reasoning starts with specific observations and reaches a general conclusion. तो ये जो मैं आपको कुछ क्वेश्चंस मैंने सर्च किए थे इससे रिलेटेड, तो ये आपको बता रही हूँ। तो इसका मतलब इससे अगर अलग भी आ सकते हैं एग्ज़ाम में, ऐसा नहीं है कि इसमें से ही आएंगे। तो आप अब एक बार अपना चैप्टर ज़रूर रीड कर लेना, आपके जो बुक में है, हो सकता है उसमें कुछ क्वेश्चंस ऐसे हों जो मैंने यहाँ पर मेंशन करना भूल गई हूँ, या यहाँ पर नहीं हो वाले आंसर क्वेश्चंस। तो आप पैनिक करेंगे फिर अपने एग्ज़ाम्स में कि मैम ने तो ये बताया नहीं था। तो एक बार अपना चैप्टर ज़रूर रीड करके जाएं। What is the difference between deductive and inductive reasoning? Deductive reasoning starts with a general premise and reaches a specific conclusion, while inductive reasoning starts with specific observations and reaches a general conclusion. What is a fallacy in rhetoric? A fallacy is an error in reasoning that makes an argument invalid. What is the rhetorical triangle? The rhetorical triangle consists of the speaker and the audience and the message in persuasive communication. What is the purpose of ethos in a persuasive argument? Ethos is used to establish the credibility of and trustworthiness of the speaker or writer. Now prosody. What is prosody in poetry and language? Prosody refers to the rhythm, meter and sound patterns in poetry and spoken language. What is the basic unit of meter in poetry? The basic unit of meter in poetry is the foot. How many syllables are typically in an iambic pentameter line? An iambic pentameter line typically has 10 syllables या फिर 5 iambs. What is caesura in poetry? A caesura is a pause or break in a line of verse often occurring मिड लाइन। तो छोटा सा ब्रेक आ जाता है किसी भी लाइन में या पोएम की या किसी वर्ड्स में, उसको हम सेजुरा बोलते हैं। व्हाट इज़ ऑलिटरेशन इन प्रोसोडी? ऑलिटरेशन इज़ द रिपीटिशन ऑफ इनिशियल कॉन्सोनेंट साउंड्स इन अ सीरीज ऑफ वर्ड्स। मान लीजिए कोई लाइन है तो उसका हर एक वर्ड ए से स्टार्ट हो रहा है या हर एक वर्ड बी से स्टार्ट हो रहा है, तो ये होता है ऑलिटरेशन। व्हाट इज़ स्टेंजा इन पोएट्री? A stanza is a grouping of lines in a poem often separated by space or indentation। तो stanza तो आपको पता ही है, जैसे poems में अलग अलग stanzas होते हैं। What is the difference between rhyme and a slant rhyme? Rhyme involves identical or very similar sounds, while slant rhyme involves sounds that are similar but not identical. Now next question, what is onomatopoeia in poetry? Onomatopoeia is the use of words that imitate the sounds that they describe. What is enjambment in poetry? Enjambment is the continuation of sentence or phrase from one line of poetry to the next without a pause or break। मतलब कोई हम एक लाइन में कुछ एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं तो वो दूसरी लाइन में भी सेम आइडिया या इमोशन किसी भी पॉज या ब्रेक के बिना अगर वो चलता चला जाता है कंटिन्यूशन में, तो उसे हम एंजेम्पमेंट बोलते हैं। व्हाट इज़ द पर्पस ऑफ मीटर इन पोइट्री? मीटर इन पोइट्री प्रोवाइड्स रिदम एंड स्ट्रक्चर एनहेंसिंग द म्यूजिकलिटी ऑफ द लैंग्वेज। नाउ rhetoric and prosody के for combined questions. How does the use of rhetorical devices such as repetition contribute to prosody in a speech? Repetition enhances prosody by creating rhythmic patterns and emphasizing key points. In a persuasive speech, how might a speaker use prosody to evoke emotion in the audience? A speaker can use variations in tone, pitch, and pace to convey emotions and engage the audience emotionally. What is the role of parallelism in both rhetoric and prosody? Parallelism creates balance and symmetry in language, make both persuasive arguments and poetry more impactful. How can a strong command of rhetorical technique enhance the delivery of poem? Rhetorical techniques can be used to emphasize and enhance the meaning and emotion conveyed in a poem when recited or performed. What is the significance of using sound devices like rhyme and alliteration in a persuasive writing? Sound devices can make persuasive arguments more memorable and compelling, enhancing the rhetorical impact. Now some questions from rhetoric. What is the primary purpose of using logos in a persuasive argument? The primary purpose of using logos is to provide logical reasoning and evidence to support an argument. What is euphemism in rhetoric? A euphemism is a figure of speech that replaces a harsh or unpleasant term with a more polite or mild expression. Next question, what is the term for the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of consecutive sentences? So the term for this rhetorical device is anaphora. तो किसी भी वर्ड का रिपीटिशन होता है, मतलब रिपीट होता रहता है कोई भी वर्ड या फ्रेज़ किसी भी सेंटेंस में, तो उसको हम एनाफोरा बोलते हैं। What is the opposite of anaphora, where a word or phrase is repeated at the end of consecutive sentences? The opposite of anaphora is epistrophe. तो एनाफोरा जो यूज़ होता है वो बिगिनिंग में यूज़ होता है सेंटेंस के, और एपिस्ट्रोफ जो होता है वो एंड में, सेंटेंस के एंड में कोई वर्ड रिपीट हो रहा है तो उसे हम एपिस्ट्रोफे बोलते हैं। How does the rhetorical device of irony contribute to persuasion? Irony can be used to highlight contradictions, make a point, or convey a message directly, which can be persuasive. Now some more questions on prosody. What is the term for a metrical foot consisting of one stressed syllable followed by one unstressed syllable? तो उस term को हम क्या कहेंगे? The term for this metrical foot is I am, मतलब एक स्ट्रेस सिलेबल है दूसरा अनस्ट्रेस्ड है, तो ये होता है आई एम। What is a sonnet in poetry and how many lines does it typically have? तो सोनेट तो आपको मालूम ही है. इट इज़ अ 14-line poem usually characterized by specific rhyme scheme and meter. What is the purpose of assonance in poetry? Assonance is used to create internal rhyme and musicality in poetry. What is the term for the repetition of consonant sounds at the end of the words in close proximity? The term for this rhetorical device is consonance. कॉन्सोनेंट साउंड्स मतलब जैसे हमारी ABCD होती है तो उसमें वॉवल्स होते हैं AEIOU और बाकी के जो अल्फ़ाबेट्स होते हैं AEIOU से रिलेटेड तो कॉन्सोनेंट होते हैं वो. तो उनसे कोई भी वर्ड अगर स्टार्ट हो रहा है एट द एंड ऑफ द वर्ड्स इन इस क्लोज प्रॉक्सिमिटी, मतलब कोई एक वर्ड के लास्ट में कोई भी कॉन्सोनेंट अगर रिपीट हो रहा है तो उसे हम कॉन्सोनेंट्स बोलते हैं. व्हाट इज़ ए हाइकू इन पोएट्री एंड हाउ मेनी सिलेबल डज इट टिपिकली हैव? अ हाइकू इज़ अ 3-line पोएम विथ सिलेबल पैटर्न ऑफ 5, 7, 5. तो 3 लाइन की जो पोएम होती है उसे हम हाइकू बोलते हैं. How can the use of rhetorical questions enhance the prosody of speech? Rhetorical question can create pauses and moments of reflection, enhancing the overall rhythm and delivery of a speech. In poetry, how does the use of metaphor contribute to both rhetorical impact and prosody? Metaphors can make language more vivid and engaging in poetry, and they can also serve as persuasive tools by drawing comparisons. How does the use of meter and rhyme contribute to the memorability of persuasive speeches? Meter and rhyme can create a rhythmic quality and make key points and arguments more memorable to the audience. What is the role of pacing in both rhetoric and prosody? So pacing involves the speed and rhythm of speech or poetic delivery, and is crucial for maintaining engagement and conveying emotions. How does the use of symbolism in a poem relate to the rhetorical technique of analogy? Both symbolism in poetry and analogy in rhetoric involve drawing connections between different elements to convey meaning or make a point. What is the term for a statement that appears to be self-contradictory but may have a deeper truth? The term for this rhetorical device is paradox. How does repetition contribute to the rhetorical device of anadiplosis? Anadiplosis is the repetition of a word or phrase at the end of one clause and at the beginning of the next, creating a strong link between the two ideas. What is the primary purpose of using pathos in a persuasive argument? The primary purpose of using pathos is to appeal to the emotions and values of the audience. What is syllogism in rhetoric? A syllogism is a logical argument that applies deductive reasoning to reach a conclusion based on two propositions. How does the rhetorical device of hyperbole enhance the impact of persuasive message? Hyperbole uses exaggeration to emphasize a point or make it more memorable and persuasive. Now some more questions on prosody. What is the term for the pattern of a stressed and unstressed line of verse? The term for this pattern is meter. What is the purpose of using a volta in a sonnet? A volta is a rhetorical shift or change in a thought in a sonnet, often occurring between the octave and sestet to provide contrast or resolution. What is the term for a metrical foot consisting of two stressed syllables? The term for this metrical foot is spondi. What is the role of rhyme scheme in a poem? Rhyme scheme creates a pattern of n rhymes that can unify a poem and add structure to it. What is the function of imagery in poetry and how does it relate to rhetoric? Imagery in poetry creates vivid mental pictures for the reader or listener and can be used rhetorically to appeal to the emotions. Now hope I have covered all the मेन टर्म्स फ्रॉम दिस चैप्टर एंड लेकिन आप सब एक बार अपना चैप्टर ज़रूर रीड कर लेना, हो सकता है उसमें कोई और ऐसा क्वेश्चन हो जो मुझसे मिस हो गया हो।